Powered by Riverside FM.
Powered by Riverside.
Welcome to the UP Unconventional Playbook. My name is Lionel Jones. I'm your host. Hit the like and subscribe button. Keep the channel growing. And we're happy to have you here. Got a really disturbing topic today. I know I've made a couple of pods before about this young lady, and this is not going to become Caitlyn Clark forum. It's not. We're not going to do a whole lot of stories on Caitlyn Clark, although I would love to. I love the topic. I love the player. Player's great for the WNBA game. So I think she's going to have enough hot topic buttons throughout her career where we'll be able to dabble and touch on some news regarding Caitlyn Clark. But I've already done a couple of pods, so I'm not going to regurgitate a lot of the information in terms of what I think about Caitlyn Clark and stuff like that. So I'm not going to do that. But I am going to talk about Caitlyn Clark today. I'm going to talk about the bounty. And that's right. I'm calling it a bounty. We're going to keep it real on the UP. I always say that. And I'm glad I'm not affiliated with, WNBA or any of their players, so I'm not scared. We're going to call it what it is. The bounty that is on Caitlyn Clark, because you have a league that is sitting idly by and allowing this young lady to get her ass kicked every night. Physical, cheap shots, elbows, pushes in the back. And the WNBA has a problem. They have a problem because they have a league full of idiots. And I guess I shouldn't generalize, because there are some players out there that are going to play this thing straight up. It's all right to be competitive, but once you cross that line of getting dirty, it's ridiculous. But you're going to have, players that are going to play it straight up. So I guess I shouldn't generalize, but there are a few idiots in the league. Here's what people in the WNBA need to know. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You better hope that with all these cheap shots that you guys are giving Caitlyn Clark, when her back is turned, when you're in the scrum in the paint, you're elbowing, you better hope with your dumb asses that she doesn't get hurt. Because your league that has been around for a while will go back to being irrelevant. Your league is irrelevant without Caitlyn Clark. The WNBA loses money every year. The NBA supports the WNBA, and they take a loss every year to try to keep the WNBA afloat. The league is a joke. And so now you get someone that can come in and help the league, you dummies, grow. And you're allowing jealousy with a racial tone to cloud your thinking. And maybe you didn't have much brain power up there to begin with. But now you are allowing it to cloud your thinking. And so everybody's gotten together, and you can't tell me that it hasn't, because even if it hasn't, you've opened the door for people to say it about you. That these teams and these players, these idiots, these players have gotten together and said, we're going to beat this girl up. We're going to show her. Show her what? That you're a dummy? See, this league needs to grow. And people that can't think 2 steps ahead, they have no idea how important the growth of this league is. So because you're jealous of Caitlyn Clark, and you obviously can't handle her on the court straight up. So now you got to cheap shot her and beat her up every game. What are you trying to do? You're either trying to hurt her or you're trying to send a message that you don't want her in the league. And all this nicey nice Becky Hammon and the Las Vegas Aces talking about we don't hate Caitlyn Clark. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it, Becky Hammon. Stop it. You saw the tidal wave in college. That was Caitlyn Clark. And everybody's job now is to try to humble her as she enters the WNBA. And again, I'm a coach. It's okay to be competitive as hell. If you want to play a boxing one on Caitlyn Clark, if you want to be physical with Caitlyn Clark inside the lines, oh man, I'm all for it. I'm all for people trying to stop the beast. I'm all for it. But when you cross that line, and you know what line I'm crossing, you've been seeing it on the highlights, and that is allowed to go on in the WNBA, your league's a joke. Your league's a joke and deserves to be irrelevant. If that's the type of people that you have in your league, and that's the type of stuff you condone, your league deserves to be where it is. It's a joke of a league. It makes no sense. We talked about the Caitlyn Clark bounty. I get upset about the topic because women's sports for a long time, you look at all the Title IX stuff, we've really fought to try to get our game to grow and to make our game relevant in a male-dominated industry. I coach women's basketball, so I have a horse in the race. I want to see equality out there for female athletes. I want to see the women's side of sports grow. Where now you have an individual in Caitlyn Clark who seems to have the key to help the sport grow. And she's got to go out there and take shots from idiots, man. Just dumb. Just dumb, man. Just dumb. It makes no sense. Trinity Carter wasn't going to talk about Caitlyn Clark. Her press conference, she wasn't going to take any Caitlyn Clark questions. And she was right to do that. Because what are you going to say? Your stupidity is obvious. It is out there on display for everybody to see. So you shouldn't have taken any questions. I mean, what are you going to get up there and say? How are you going to justify what you did? What you did, Bush League. And see, here's the thing about basketball. You resort to things like that when you can't handle people. You know, it's kind of like what I talked about with Stephen A. and Jason Whitlock. You know, the easy way for Stephen A. to get rid of Jason Whitlock, man, is to come out and go accusation to accusation and blow up every accusation that Jason Whitlock made. See, when you can't handle somebody, you resort to Bush League stuff. I remember when I was coaching high school basketball, my teams would kill. And there were a lot of people out there that didn't like that. I was coaching in a small town. And so every night we stepped on the floor, there was a refereeing agenda against us. Because they know the only way to slow us down was to call bullshit. and to try to keep the game in favor for the other team. Oh, I had years of that at the high school I coached. Years. There's no way to prove it. There was no way to go with it. You just had to get through it. Because they couldn't let me and my team play straight up with another team because we would have dominated. Same thing with Caitlyn Clark, man. She's getting these cheap shots. Every player that is cheap shot at Caitlyn Clark is a player in their minds know they can't handle her straight up. They can't handle her straight up. So now you got to go to Bush League tactics to try to even the playing field. You got to try to hurt her to try to even the playing field. I didn't realize Caitlyn Clark was that good. Like, we all saw the phenom in Iowa. She was absolutely fantastic. I thought she's one of the greatest players that I have ever seen. Men or women, great player. But I didn't know she was so good that she would incite fear and bounties and cheap shots and sensitive refereeing that you would have to adjust and resort to those type of tactics to slow her down. Damn, she must be good. She must be good. Teresa Witherspoon, the coach of the Chicago Sky, shame on you. Shame on you. You're better than that. When you were hired to coach the Chicago Sky, everyone was saying, oh, what a great hire. She's going to do a great job. Great X's and O's, smart, understands the game. Why are you allowing your players to resort to that? And then defend them when they get in press conferences. That's enough. That's enough. Come on, Teresa. Come on. Supposedly, these are grown women. These aren't college women. Let her be accountable for her actions on the floor. And instead of advocating and protecting that, you should be trying to squelch that behavior. Want to know why? Because you should be better. You should be one of the best coaches in the league, and you should be able to beat Caitlyn Clark on a stage straight up without shenanigans. Trinity, you should be able to beat Caitlyn Clark straight up on the stage without any shenanigans. Obviously, you can't. Obviously, you can't. Where are Caitlyn Clark's teammates, man? Like, she's taking all these shots. Where are her teammates? Watch the video where Trinity chucks Caitlyn Clark in the back. You should have had 4 individuals running up to Caitlyn Clark to lift her up off the floor, because that's your teammate. I'm not condoning this, but do you remember when the Minnesota Timberwolves got into a scrum? It was McDaniels, and I believe it was Klay Thompson when they got into it with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, there was a lot of pushing and shoving, and then here comes Rudy Gobert. And as soon as that happened, what happened? Draymond Green came and choked Rudy Gobert out. And again, I'm not condoning those actions. I'm just saying, be there for your teammate. Where's Indiana Fever at? Man, it's such a joke. It's such a joke. Only because if this young lady doesn't play and get the accolades that she's been getting, and well deserved, the WNBA is on borrowed time. And these players are too stupid and dumb to realize that their league is on borrowed time. Everybody that is in the league is not good enough to carry the load to make the league popular. And that's not Caitlyn Clark's fault. You guys had your opportunity to carry the league, and you couldn't do it. And so now you have someone coming in that possibly can. And you're trying to squash that? It doesn't make any sense. It's idiotic. It's flat out dumb. It's just not a good business model. WNBA and your teams and these dumbasses taking cheap shots at Caitlyn Clark. It's almost like, man, when you're a kid, you just don't know enough. You don't know what you don't know. So you just always want things right away. You beg your parents. You have no idea about finances and the bills that your parents have to pay. You just want what you want. Hey, mommy, hey, daddy, can I get this? Can I get that? I remember being that kid. Like, you don't have no other worries. You can barely even spell bills. And so these players in the WNBA, to me, they're acting the same way. They don't know anything about finances. They really don't feel the brunt of the NBA losing money with the WNBA. They don't understand it. They feel that the WNBA is going to be around forever. You know, when you're growing up, you feel like people in your family are always going to be around forever. And then eventually, people pass away. People die. But you never gave it a thought at the time when you were growing up. You thought your mom and dad were going to be there always. And that's not the case. So these players in the WNBA, they feel like the league's going to be there forever. And that's not the case. You better embrace Caitlyn Clark, man. And please, before you fill up my comment section or my emails or anything like that, I am not saying that Caitlyn Clark should be handled with kid gloves. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying the players shouldn't compete against her. I'm not saying that they should make it easy on her. I'm just saying let's keep it straight up. And you can't look at the film and things that are going on and say that you're playing her straight up. You can't tell me that she is not being refereed differently. Keep it up. Run her out of the league. The day you run her out of the league, 5 years from that day, you won't have a league. You're going to have to start going back overseas. And you saw how that turned out for a couple of players. So you better get your league straight. You better clean up your own backyard here in the States, in the WNBA. It just makes no sense. I had to talk on this topic today. It's ridiculous what's going on with Caitlyn Clark. But keep it up. Keep it up. Because you won't have a league. You won't have a league. Keep it up. This has been Unconventional Playbook. Kind of a semi-detour. Kind of not. I just want to touch on the subject because I'm just really disturbed by what's going on with Caitlyn Clark, man. You're watching these games, and the league is just standing idly by and allowing this stuff to happen. The GM finally came out and said, this has got to stop. No, you got the power to stop it. Start suspending some of these women. Get them out of the game. Suspend them with no pay. They're not getting much pay anyway. The pay scale is a joke, and Caitlyn Clark may help that. It's crazy, man. This has been Unconventional Playbook. Enjoy your Monday. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let's continue to grow this thing. I will make sure that I see you when I see you.
Powered by Riverside.